welcome back to the channel. Behind me here is our next project, a 1979 Ford F150 four-wheel drive with a 306 and a 4-speed. Picked this up in Moses Lake, Washington. Pretty good trip to go get that. But it's a project. Got it running when I got it home, but the guy I got it from said it didn't run very well, and so I dove into that, and it looks like it has a flat cam. So here's kind of a walk around. It's someone told me it was a Coors Gold, but it's not too bad of a truck here. There's a few dents. It's definitely used. A little bit of rust here in the corner. Someone's custom bumper down here, and a little bit of dings here on this corner here. But four-wheel drive. A little bit of paint missing right up there. Here's the engine. I already messed with it some, got the valve cover off. Going to be, got all the parts in here we'll show you, but gonna be doing the cam, probably rebuilding the carb, put some seals and stuff in it. There's some other things like tie rod, because this one here is someone's custom graft job there. They didn't put, this should have like a solid across the bottom here, and then another drag link up. This style here is kind of like the 77 was like a Y-link, but those have the ball joint made into the steering arm, and so they had to graft stuff in here to make it work. I don't know why people do stuff like that, but it's the way it is. Interior's not too bad. Door panels are halfway decent. Got all some of the parts here. Basic 4-speed. But before we get into, another thing is, I have to get another better shot of this. But that is like genuine 70s couch material reupholstered seat. Has carpet in it. Before we get into the shop, I'm gonna tear the seat out and the carpet. It smells like mouse piss in here. It's been sitting a while. So I'm gonna get that off, or that out, and then end up taking the hood off here because we're gonna be working on here. So I'll get those in the bed before we even pull this into the shop, and then we'll start diving into it. Right, it's not lifted. Probably gonna keep it that way. It's kind of nice just having just a stock truck. Probably end up going with like a 33 1250 for the wheels and tires, and just make it a nice running, driving, four-wheel drive hunting rig around the farm. So I got the truck pulled in the shop here and the hood offset in the back. Gonna start diving into this thing. In order to pull the cam out, we'll have to take the grill out. We'll probably leave the grill shell here, but the center part we'll have to take out, and the radiator here, because you can see this here, that's where the timing gear is, so that whole thing will have to slide out. Might have to pull out this support here, but we'll leave it in for now until we actually see if we're running into that. Get the radiator, we'll have to drain that out, kind of start taking stuff off the front here. We'll have to take the power steering pump off, and might be able to leave the alternator on there. Probably set top dead center, mark that before we start pulling things like the distributor. But we'll have to get the distributor. I think I got a new fuel pump because this one was leaking. Get that off, get all this off. Then got the valley cover here. So the only challenge we're gonna have is if that lifter is mushroomed out, then it's gonna be hard to pull out. But yeah, so we'll start diving into this and getting stuff pulled out. All right, so we got this tore down a bit. Got all the lifters out, sitting over here. Kind of try to keep them in order, even though I'm not using them that way if I want to look back at them. They all looked all right. Nothing major cupping. This one over here might have been collapsed. It was a number 6 on the intake, but not positive on that. Got the front cover off and the balancer on the front cover, and just took out these retainer bolts here. I'm going to work on pulling the camshaft out. Once I get the camshaft out, I'll probably drop the oil pan, because it'll be a lot easier having the oil pan off when putting everything back together. We'll see about, there we go. Try to hold this up so we're not damaging the cam bearings. There we go. Alright, it looks like I'm going to have to pull out this center support. This guy's in the way, trying to fight those cam bearings out. Definitely going to need to pull this out. So, looks like a bolt down there, and then 2 up here, and we'll get that out. So I'm looking over this camshaft here. There's nothing that really points out, hey, flat cam. Like that lobe right there was one of the ones, yeah, 'cause it's the intake on number 2, that was loose, and it looks good. And all the other ones look fairly good. So it made me think, all right, what are the chances something else was messed up here? So this one here was loose, this one here was good. If I take a T-square here, set it up on there, it just touches. If I run it over to here, it's about 1/8 of an inch off. You can almost see that and some coloration there on the bottom. I think it's actually started to pull the stud out of the head. And the same thing on this one over here that also had a problem. So that is a first for me, of seeing the studs pull out of the head. So I'm gonna do some thinking and figure out what I'm gonna do to fix that. So I guess that means there was nothing wrong with this camshaft. Could possibly put it back in, we'll see. The lifters messed some of those up pulling them out, so probably end up putting new lifters in if I run this camshaft. We'll see, but first gotta figure out how to fix this head. You know, just tighten those down more isn't going to be the solution, because it's starting to pull out now. If you just tighten it down more, it's just going to keep pulling out. So we'll figure it out. So we're back at it here, trying to figure out a way to fix these pulled rocker studs. And what I came up with is this stud pinning kit. I guess it's a common thing on old small block Chevys to have these pull out, especially if you have like a higher lift cam or something like that. So what this is, it's a set of dowel pins with a drill bit, and what you do is you drill through the head and the dowel pin, or the stud. You put one of these roll pins in there, and it keeps it in place. So they're 8 in, well, let's see, 16 in here, because this is for a small block Chevy, but we'll make it work for this year, no problem. I got these on, I think it was Speedway Motors. I'll put a link in for those. There's a part number there. But in order, before we do that, we have to put these back down to where they're supposed to be. So what we'll end up doing is put a nut back onto that stud, get a propane torch in here, heat this up, and then hammer that down. Also go along and see if there's any others that are pulled up. And then before we drill, we'll probably end up putting a bunch of like paper towel and stuff in here, so the metal shavings are not going down into the bottom end of the engine. Best way to do this would probably be to pull the head off and all that stuff, but that just gets into more hassle. So we're going to do it on the engine. looks like we moved it back down there, so now we'll just do the other one down there and check to see if there's any more. So a bit of a change in plans here as we got the head off the engine here. Wasn't exactly the route I was planning on going, but it's the way we went. So the main reason for this was on this number 6 here, had some issues getting a good strike on it with the hammer, and it got bent. So I don't know if you can see that there, but bent that one. And I could have tried fighting that in the truck, but just decided it'd be a lot easier to take it out. Plus, I'm gonna be a lot easier to drill all these holes, and I'll probably replace the valve stem seals and maybe do something about this valve right here before it drops in there, because let's see if you can see that is a little worn off there. So we might replace a valve on the head. That is an exhaust valve. Anyway, also I was looking at the other studs I hammered in, and they're not perfect either, so I'm just gonna go ahead and pull that out. Got this one out already, gonna pull this one next, and then probably on this one I'm gonna have to cut it off in order to get a good thread on there. And I got this KD tool, which works pretty cool. Let's see here, got this part here which screws onto the stud, and probably start by putting this on. Then this part here screws down over that, and you run that down and it pushes the stud out. So I already did one, came out pretty good. There's that, and we'll do this one here. And just gonna have some troubles finding the studs at the parts store, so I'm just gonna take this to a machine shop, have them do it. They have the best access to getting the replacement parts. I'll have it tanked, so it'll be easy to clean up, paint, and some of the other sheet metal, the valve cover, oil pan, and side cover panel for the rocker valley. I'll get that tanked also, so we can get a nice coat of paint on it. And then once I get it back, then I'll go ahead and do the valve stems seals. All right, got the head back from the machine shop. Got a little more in-depth than intended. Ended up buying all new exhaust valves for it. And we're gonna end up lapping those here in a little bit, along with lapping the intake valves in. But right now I'm working on drilling the studs for the dowel pins, and I was lucky enough to get the last 4 studs in the country. I guess this does have a part number on there. But I was able to find this on Rock Auto. Not sponsored by them or anything, but I was surprised. Machine shop couldn't get any, none of the local parts stores could get any, but happened to hop on Rock Auto, and they had it in stock and shipped pretty quick. So that was cool, able to get this done up. We ended up replacing 3 of these. So right now, drilling this. Unfortunately, this won't fit into my little drill press, and I don't have a decent drill press. That's something on the wish list. So we're using the good old hand drill, and what I am doing to get it straight and level, this DeWalt has a nice little spot here in the back that my level fits perfectly, so I'm able to use this bubble here to get this way, and then I put a square on there and use that bubble level there to make sure it's balanced that way. And I've done a majority of these. It's just a pilot size, and I have not drilled through the stud. I've kind of got through the cast iron, kind of got them going. Gonna do these. One thing I also did, of course, I don't know the right way and I don't know the wrong way. I'm just doing it some way that makes sense. But I did a little bit of grind. I ground a little bit on this casting to try to get a flat spot. Marked it a 1/2 inch down. Let's see if we got the stud here, because that's how deep it goes in there. So a 1/2 inch seems like it's kind of midway on its depth into the cylinder head. And then I center punched it so I have a nice place to start the drill bit, and kind of eyeballed it in the center here of the stud. Doesn't have to be perfect. This isn't rocket science, but we do kind of want to make the stuff square best we can without putting it in a mill or something like that. So gonna finish drilling the rest of these, and then we'll see how hard it is to drill through these studs, because I'm sure that is hardened steel of some sort. It's not soft like this cast iron. So that'll be the next challenge, is to drill through that. And once we get all the way through, we'll step up to the correct size, which is the drill bit in here. So there we have it. Got all the roll pins in, a few busted drill bits. The one that came in the set was the worst one. Not only did it bust, but it also was dull right off the bat. So I had to break into my drill bit set over here. Got them all drilled. There was a few hard ones down here on the end. I don't know why, but those were the hardest ones to drill. These ones weren't so bad. Gonna clean it up a little, but not too much, because we still got to lap the valves, and we'll have to clean up after that. But yeah, we'll just go on and lap all the valves, clean it all up, and then probably paint it some blue and get some of the sheet metal painted blue and get it working on installing this. So got the head here, got it all cleaned up, painted up, and all the metal shaving and stuff like that. Wet head and lapped all the valves. Also decided to go with new intake valves, because when I was starting the lapping process on that, they had some pitting on the surface that I didn't see before. So all new valves in it. Still need to clean these up before I put it in there, but we're going to go ahead and assemble the head and get it ready to go on. And the engine's pretty much ready to go. Got it painted, camshafts in, oil pans on, all that. So really just waiting on the head. So that's it for this episode. It's getting a little long, a lot to do on this truck. Next time we'll finish up the engine and start working on the brakes and the axles and, unfortunately, the fuel tanks. So if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like, comment, tell me what you think, maybe what other things we should do to the truck. Until next time, see you guys later.